Any experienced dog trainer knows that a reliable skill is built on a solid foundation of success. Now, what if you feel like you're not getting any successes with your dog? What if you feel like the day is full of failures and nothing's going right? What if I were to tell you that you just weren't seeing those successes? We're going to talk about success and failure today in our 2-minute training terms. Welcome back to McCann Dogs. I'm Ken Steep. Now here comes the part where I play a G chord on my acoustic guitar and Hippie Shake, our toy poodle, barks twice. Welcome back to McCann Dogs. If this is your first time with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We publish new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to help you do something awesome with your dog. This is our 2-minute training term series where I try to explain to you a word, a phrase, or an idea in dog training in 2 minutes or less. So let's not waste any more time. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock, and here we go. Sometimes a student will say to me, my dog doesn't like to sit. And then I'll get them to show me, and their dog will be in a sitting position for a moment, and another dog will pass by, or something in the room will distract them, and they'll get up out of that sit. The student will do a good job of showing the dog how to sit, and then wait for another distraction to go by, and the dog will get up. Now what's happening here is the student is only seeing the failures in their training. They're only seeing the dog getting up out of that sit, but there's been several seconds while the dog was remaining in position that the student wasn't able to acknowledge that moment. We really need to be able to show our dogs that moment that they're right, whether it's a sit stay, walking on a loose leash, coming when they're called. There are lots of moments to acknowledge the success, but we're so caught up in the failures that we fail to recognize them. Shaping is a good example of acknowledging small successes in dog training. If we want a dog to stand on a tiny barrel, for example, I think Kel recently showed Beeline learning how to stand on that tiny little bucket. You need to acknowledge the small wins. Beeline was initially not too sure about the bucket, so she'd motion towards the bucket and be rewarded. Kel would yes and reward her. Or she would put her foot on the bucket. We'd yes and reward that. Those are tiny successes, but they give the dog a clear indication of what your expectation is. You need to acknowledge those successes to let your dog know what you want. It's all about the baby steps. Remember, if you're having an especially tough training session, that if your dog keeps making mistakes, that's on you. They really don't know what your expectation is unless you've clearly shown them. So if your dog keeps getting up out of a stay, for example, and you continue to use whatever distraction is getting them out of that stay, your dog doesn't understand that they need to remain in position. What you need to do is moderate that distraction or lessen that distraction so that your dog can be successful, so that you can show them how to be right. Ultimately, it's your responsibility to make sure that you are the one setting your dog up for success. It also makes training a lot more fun when you get to reward your dog and praise them for making the right choice. But don't take the failures to heart. It's really an important part of learning. When your dog makes a mistake, that's a great opportunity to lessen that distraction, for example, or make this challenge a little bit less difficult for your dog and have an opportunity to reward them. They need to understand what's right and what's wrong, and finding those levels of failure are really important. Remember, rewarding those small successes is actually quite motivating for your dog, and it builds a strong work drive. What I want you to take away from this is that if you feel like you're failing, if your dog's making mistake after mistake, you need to set them up to be successful. And that's all I have to say about that. Did I make it? Am I under 2 minutes this time? I feel like this is the one. I don't even really know why I ask anymore. I hope you enjoyed this 2-minute training terms, and I hope you found it helpful. If this is your first time with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We publish new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to help you do something awesome with your dog. On that note, happy weekend, everybody.